Welcome to this week's episode, 2011, and if there's a loose theme, it's history. I don't know about you, but I hated history at school, so this will be brief. This year saw the first flowering of the Arab Spring, the first full year of the UK coalition government's ruinous austerity programme, and the first of the Occupy protests. It also saw the deaths of Gaddafi, of Bin Laden, and of Kim Jong-il. And in those cold winters of 2010, 2011, we lost a few close family members. That was my grandmother and my father-in-law, one to cancer and the other to motor neuron disease. You get older, you start to lose people. And sad as that is, you find ways to hang on to memories of them as the years without them begin to pile up. My nan outlived my grand by over 30 years. So my recollections of her are pretty vivid, really, compared to those of him. And 20 years with my father-in-law slowly revealed a warm, very eccentric man. A lot of interests, always busy, forever marked by a difficult wartime childhood. And in fact, war looms large in this year's album choice, which, to keep you on your toes, I'll deal with first today. There are a few other albums to talk about. I'll throw them in later on, so stick around for them. But war, the war in Iraq, on paper at least, ended this year. The conflict in Afghanistan, still ongoing. But war never really changes, does it? It shapes us as people and indelibly marks the world around us. And all of that is here in this record. This is PJ Harvey's Let England Shake. The most critically lauded album of 2011, album of the year in all the usual places, securing Polly her second Mercury Music Prize. To this day, still the only two-time winner. And thoroughly deserved. This is a serious work that deftly mixes the political and societal consequences of war, how it shapes a nation, how it chooses to see itself through the lens of history, and how it conducts itself in the present day. The toll of nationalism, of patriotism on the psyche of its people, expressed via the language and the pain and the trauma of those who participate in war. As much a product of Polly's profound reaction to photographs from modern-day Afghanistan, captured by Seamus Murphy in his A Darkness Visible show, as it was to the 2 years of researching the Great War of 1914 to 1918, and that preceded the writing and recording of Let England Shake, incorporating Dali, Goya, war poetry, documentary interviews with war veterans, victims of suicide bombers, Afghan natives, and all of this fed into the stripped-down audio recipe she'd concocted for 2007's White Chalk. Spare electric guitar, sometimes raw and unschooled, other times washy and treated. Saxophone, auto harp, piano, bony xylophone, wispy, ghostly percussion, organ and mellotron making their way through from time to time. It's a striking, near-live production, minimal takes, with a strong shot of English folk music colouring the songs. There are playful inclusions of snatches of other music, jarring bugle melodies, lifts from Eddie Cochran, melodic borrows and samples from The Police, Niney the Observer, and Istanbul, not Constantinople. Yet that carnal post-punk blues is not here. Instead, Polly sings high and clear, her words given enough air and float to hover above the music as they should. Because for the first time, Polly wrote the themes and lyrics first, composing the music afterwards. John Parrish, Mick Harvey and Jean-Marc Bouty being the principal contributors to that music. From song to song, narrators switch from past to present, from combatant to sweetheart, from the occupied to the conscript, all of them broken, blasted, changed. There's the homesick Tommy of The Last Living Rose. Goddamn Europeans, take me back to England and the grey, damp filthiness of ages. It's all skeletal guitar and subdued thump, harping horns, calling him home. The wailing mother of the glorious land. And what is the glorious fruit of our land? Its fruit is deformed children. Air-pumping drone and distant guitar, the song rising from riddle to accusation, a perversion of the chest-beating liberators' intent, their efforts yielding nothing but death and misery. Yeah, this is a phenomenally powerful song. There's also the political rousing and sloganeering of the words that maketh murder, ending in nothing but violence and dismemberment, a lifetime of nightmares and shell shock, fueled by nothing more than posturing, grandstanding. There are the waves of on Battleship Hill, the long dormant battlefield holding sway over the emotions, the land still pocked by the shells and trenches that once marked it. And throughout, people gone, scattered, the young fighters hiding in the dark places, the Anzac soldier unable to reach his comrade in the colour of the earth, the inhabitants of an unnamed city fleeing conflict in written on the forehead. The writing is stellar, it's poetic, it's moving, it's sodden with pathos, a twinkling rage tucked into its corners, the years and miles flattened to render the sadness and fear and horror universal. Never polemic, never pointed, profoundly grounded, but avoiding a journalistic focus that would take you out of the emotional space that Polly is cataloguing. The imperialism, the othering that sits at the centre of this project is in there, but only discernible from the outlines of the scars that it leaves. You may miss the blues-flecked instinctiveness of Polly's earlier, earthier records, but this is a masterpiece. And in the face of violence being inflicted on defenceless people in the world today, by nations with aims both beyond and within their own borders, a timely record again. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, why not think about subscribing? As ever, it's a really big help to the channel, and it gives you a hotline to all the content I've got coming up. So other records to mention from this year, I've probably brought these up in a few other videos, and I'll point those out along the way. Firstly, Wire and Red Barked Tree. Joined by Matt Sims for the album tour, he's not on the record. Consider this the first fruits of the band's final iteration. I talked about it in part 2 of my Wire primer video, so please do check that out. Tracks, This Please Take, Adapt, Bad Worn Thing, A Flat 10, and the title track. It's a great record, lots of good stuff in here. You know how I feel about these guys by now. Next, Radiohead and King of Limbs, which I gave a shout in my Problem Albums video. Hint, none of those albums are actually Problem albums. Give it a look, all will become apparent. The Missus loves them, I just like them. This Morning, Mr. Magpie, Lois Flower, Codex. It's good. And finally, REM and Collapse Into Now. I was a little late to this one after dialing out on REM for a while. Circa New Adventures, maybe. Hence me covering it in my my budget boxes roundup video from the start of this year. Yeah, they're the band who changed my life. So the cynics out there might counter that I was just getting dewy-eyed in giving them a pass for Collapse. But no, I still really like it. I listen to it more than pretty much any of their other post-Monster albums, and it has a few proper gems. All the best is Pure Document, stroke Green Era Propulsion. Oh My Heart is the acceptable side of Out of Time in a nutshell. Walk It Back feels like an Automatic era, big-hearted loving. And Blue ropes in Patti Smith for a moody Ebo style number that shows they were still capable of pushing the envelope right till the end. Some people say it sounds like a bunch of REM B-sides. Clearly people who've never listened to many REM B-sides. Because, and I'm happy to defend this one, REM B-sides are generally not good. Collapse is better than that. Far better, in fact. And were it not for PJ, I might have gone for this just for old time's sake. So that's it. Confusingly, in my rejigged order, you've reached the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Please think about giving this video a like. It helps kind of push it out via the algorithm to other people who might like this too. And that's me finished for today. Please do take care, and I hope to see you back here again very soon on the channel. Bye for now.